Thank you. Thank you. I thought I said something wrong, and it was a quick way to get me off stage, but it didn't work. Okay, what happened? I knew that the cost of memory would go down. And with the cost of memory going down, we could store more memory faster, quicker, and cheaper. And if you can see, in 1981, the cost of memory was $300,000 US, or 5,400,000 pesos to store 1 megabyte. By the year 2010, it came to 1.5 pesos for 1 gigabyte of storage. This was a world changer. So with this, I could see where the market was going, and I purchased this technology and formed a company called Test Drive. And Test Drive was a CD-ROM distribution system for software. Now, right now you're thinking CD-ROMs, big deal. What are CD-ROMs? But back in the early 80s, in 92, CD-ROMs were big. There was a company back then that was very, very innovative called Blockbuster Video. Anybody here old enough to remember it? Okay. In 1992, Blockbuster Video was cool. It was innovative. You could go to your video store, rent a CD, watch a movie, and take it home. Netflix did not exist. It was just starting a few years later. And as you know, Blockbusters pretty much disappeared. Now see, I found all this very exciting. And what helped me was I wasn't very technical. I didn't come from a technical background. The way I found out about computers and technology was I was home from college. And I was visiting my brother, who's 17 years younger than me. And he had this new computer that just came out. He said, nobody ever heard of it, but it's going to be big. And it was called the Apple computer. And he showed it to me. And I got so excited, I went back and I started developing and built my first company, which was a word processor in the early 80s. But I happened to sell Test Drive a few years later to a very, very large corporation. And I thought to myself, what can I do next? What do I do? And I thought, well, if I can distribute software on CD-ROMs and have people buy it and unlock it and lock it through codes, then you should be able to do this with music. I was always a music lover. And I thought, back in those days, you had to buy a whole, what was called an album, which consisted of about 20 songs to get the one song that you liked. So I thought we should be able to do this with music. And boy, up sprung the MP3 player, which I started in 1994 and brought out in 2004. And the MP3 player, I got to tell you, it changed my life. It changed my life in ways where I get to speak to forward-thinking people like yourselves, which is a real treat for me. I enjoy coming here. I enjoy being a part of this. This is very special to me because I know that many of you in the audience are going to be me standing up here. I know that there are, out of these group of forward-thinking people, there are going to be people that make a difference in our world, that change our world. Save it for questions and answers, please. With the MP3 player, I could begin to see the power of the internet. But I could still see that it was processing speed and data. So here I started to see, okay, here comes AI. Here comes artificial intelligence. Now, what I used to see in the movies are going to start to be real. Now, imagine yourself, you've got a class for tomorrow. You've got a 400-page book that you've got to read by tomorrow. I know you had 2 weeks to read it, but you waited till the last day. Picture that your artificial intelligence machine can read your book, all 400 pages, interpret it, and write you a 10-page or 4-page report, all in 10 seconds. Would this make your life easier? This is right upon us. This is not years away. This is right upon. There are machines currently not out for commercial sale because they're too expensive, but that can do this. Alexa. How many Alexa users do we have here? Do we have any people? Great. Alexa's going to change substantially. It will work. You know, we hear about self-driving cars. Self-driving cars are really just the beginning today. Self-driving cars will start to interact with Alexa, with your Google Calendar or whatever calendar you choose to use. Your car will know where you're going. It'll know what your habits are. It'll know what you like. Alexa will accumulate your moods. When you feel sad, what cheers you up? When you feel happy, what kind of music you like? How should your seat be adjusted if you're not feeling great today? Alexa will know all this, and it will share this information with your automobile. I know today when we think of self-driving cars, it's kind of scary. You think of grabbing the wheel or the roof, but it's no different than riding on a train or riding on a bus. We just have to get used to it. All our lives are going to drastically change with artificial intelligence. I don't think this, I'm sure of it. Think how much the computer has changed your life, although most of us aren't old enough here to understand what life was like before we had personal computers in the home. I don't know what we did without Facebook. How are we busy? Artificial intelligence will actually change our lives more than the personal computer industry did. It's just the next step into that technology. Now, if you notice, I talked about Facebook. We use Facebook. We use Google. If you see that now, Facebook recognizes the picture you put up there, and it suggests the name. Google Earth has gotten substantially better, where the pictures can actually picture people out in the yard. Things have changed, and they're only going to be changing more so. We don't notice it because it's like watching a child grow up. It happens slowly. But there will be drastic changes in our life, all because of the speed, the price of memory, and the ability for artificial intelligence to be able to digest and interpret data. Now, artificial intelligence uses something called natural language processing. Now, natural language processing is the language that AI speaks that allows us not to just search and find, search for a word, but it allows it to read data, find patterns, and interpret that data and fix it along the way by data it has learned previously. Now, natural language processing, where it takes advantage is there are two types of data. There's structured data and there's unstructured data. Now, structured data is like what you see on your spreadsheets. If you go to a supermarket and you run something past the scanner and it has the pricing, that pricing is matching to a database in their system that reflects that price. Those are structured data. So today, our computers really interpret or read structured data, things that are in fields. Unstructured data are Facebook posts, notes, physician's notes, reports, anything you've ever written on. See, natural language processing has the ability to interpret and interface with human language, which in the past has difficulties with speech recognition, words, anything that's just not find and replace. But today, unstructured data can be read, interpreted, and actually opinions expressed and updated if the system knows something that has been discovered since then. And I'm going to show you where all those advantages happen. Now, most IT people or people who work with computer technology generally only work with structured data, things that are in a database. But now, unstructured data opens up a whole new world where computers can read things that doesn't have to be in fields or a database. It can be read in reports. Anything that you've ever written in your computer can now be digested by technology, understand, and if they know something better where you're wrong, they will suggest where you're wrong. Like I said before, when you're with Alexa, when you're driving in your car, and the car is self-driving, and you're going here, and Alexa says, well, you know, wouldn't you rather do this today? Because it understands your mood. Here's the chance in the future where we start fighting with Alexa. You and Alexa could end up in a divorce court. Now, has anybody been to an Amazon Go store? Okay, pretty cool, pretty cool. I assume you liked it. Okay, Amazon Go stores, and this is the future of shopping. There are a few of them around the U.S., one's in Seattle, Washington, and you walk into the store, and you swipe your phone. That's all you do. Now they know who you are, what's your credit card method, your method of payment, and you need no more. There are no checkouts. There is nothing else. You walk through the store, you put things into your cart, what you want. Amazon Go store knows what you put into your cart and what you take out. When you leave, you're only charged for what's in your cart. If you put something in your cart and 20 minutes later you decide, I don't really want this, and you go put it back, Amazon knows you put it back. You're only charged for what you left. Now they do this through a series of cameras throughout the store that identifies who you are, what you're taking, and sensors on everything you take. It knows the price. It knows what you like. It may even start suggesting things you want to look at. Because with artificial intelligence, your interpreter will know more about you, or your AI, your personal assistant, will know more about you than you know about you. Now, really think about that for a minute. It will really know more about you than you know about you. Now, let's take Amazon. When you purchase a product online, first of all, you know, we all find that Amazon suggests, here's an item you might also like. Here's an item that you bought before that goes with what you have. This is all artificial intelligence. Now, I hear a lot of complaints about people who don't like this. They say, I don't like that Google knows where I search and the ads that they put match what I like. Quite frankly, growing up early in computer science or being a part of this age, I have found this attractive because I like looking at things that I like, that I want to see. Rather than commercials, I have no interest. I would rather have the producer who's producing the films I am watching know about me and know what I like. Here's the Amazon Go store and people going shopping. Now, when you buy a product online at Amazon, today, Amazon currently employs 45,000 robots. The minute you place your order, there are robots going to find your products and get them into an Amazon associate that it can best get your products to you. Now, I said they've employed 45,000 robots. To give you an example, in the last 3 years, that's been a 300% increase in robots. Now, we imagine robots being very human-like and walking sort of like this. Again, this is from TV. Robots will be built to what they're best suited to do their job and to do their duties. For instance, look at Amazon's robots. They do not look like humans. Now, 20 years ago, I was in the computer industry, and 25 years ago, very few people had personal computers in their homes. Excuse me. They were only in corporations and companies, and occasionally you would run into somebody that has them. Today, many people have multiple computers in their homes. Now, I want you to think of this. 20 years from now, you will have 3 to 5 robots in your home doing things that you don't want to do. For instance, I can tell you 20 years from now, I will never clean a cat box again. Some AI that's used today. Do you know when you go to Starbucks coffee and you order a cup of coffee from Starbucks, that cup is priced using artificial intelligence by taking in consideration where is that Starbucks? What's the demand, the price, and all this information used dynamically prices your cup at Starbucks. 50% of all your airline tickets are priced using artificial intelligence. 40% of car rental companies. Now, there's a company I found today, not today, but recently, that uses artificial intelligence. And this is being done today. From one drop of blood, let's say at a crime scene, they find somebody, a dead body, and the body has decomposed, and they cannot recognize that body. From one drop of blood, they can create a composite of what that person looks like. On the left, you see predicted. And on the right is what the person actually looked like. Now, the future of AI is not far away. It'll change our lives for medical. For instance, pharmaceutical companies. It takes a long time from the time a drug is first discovered to we're allowed to take it. And we can use it for your cure for cancer or something else that may be very important. Today, using AI, and this exists today by a company called Deep Six, which you can Google and get information on. But they can search 250 million medical records, examine all the data, the doctor's notes, 250 million in 2 days. That used to take many years. Other tasks that are very important, that used to take 6 to 9 months, can now be done in an hour. 20% of our data today is structured data, and 80% is unstructured. So this makes a major change in the way we do things. You know, we used to use rats to experiment on new drugs. Today, utilizing AI, they can simulate what the human reaction would be without using drugs. Before, to go through and find and test drugs, they would have to test them on patients, wait for that patient to live or die or have good results. Today, this all can be done in a couple days using AI as simulation and notes from doctors, physicians that it has accumulated. See, up till now, computers and AI could not read doctors' notes or doctors' information or patient records unless they were in fields. So this changes the whole. For instance, let's take 1,000 hospitals all around Mexico with thousands of doctors, many thousands. Using artificial intelligence, you can go through those records and find out which doctors are having success. Why are 3 doctors having great success on pancreatic cancer with someone else who also has Alzheimer's? They can now find these things, which used to take years and years and years of research, can now be done in just a couple of days. Now, some things that I just want you to think about from today is elections, wars. If we can predict all these things pretty much with certainty in advance, how is it going to affect us? Now, it changes the whole paradigm of how we do things and knowing the results in advance. Do we still have elections in the same way? Do we still fight wars in the same way? AI is just beginning, but over the next 5 years and in the next 2 years, you'll start to see remarkable changes in your life. Now, I mentioned here, I came to Mexico to write a book. My book is called Father of the MP3 Player, Lessons in Business and Life. Now, I always considered my life a series of dysfunctional events that somehow turned out okay. I go through that in my book and talk about my life, which wouldn't be as you imagined. I was in a coma. I healed. I had to learn how to speak, how to talk, how to think all over again. It was an 8-year recovery that got me back to where I am again. Now, all of this is in my book, from starting the MP3 player to how I raised my first money, because when I started my first company, I didn't have any money. Any questions? You seem to have a question. Could you have a mic? Wait.
Thanks. I have Asperger's syndrome. Sorry for the answer precisely. Yes, I like the theme of prediction for DNA. In this case, part the blood group, the image of persons. For example, also can use for create new antibiotics or new genetics therapies. For example, I like very the temporary of artificial intelligence. For example, in hardware, the needs well, can use quantum computer or neuromorphic chips for accelerate the autobus, the process of the artificial intelligence of neural networks, in this case, in hardware.
I like the DNA too. You can get more information on it by Googling it. It's called DNA phenotyping. And yes, it can be used for all the other things that you suggested. I think we're going to see a lot of changes in consumer products, medical products, testing on the way we do things with artificial intelligence. I also want to say, when we're done here, I'd love to take pictures with people and have them appear on Facebook. So if you have the time, please stop by, take a picture with me. Adriana, over at the table, is selling my book at a special discount TalentLand price. Adriana, raise your hand. So if you'd like to read my book, please stop and take a look. If not, stop by and take a picture with me. You don't have to buy the book. Any more questions? Yes, we have one more.
Hi, Nathan. Thank you very much for your presentation. I really enjoyed it. I'm over here.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask you, what do you think about, for example, you said that in the future an algorithm will know more than you know yourself. So I don't know, I'm a little bit worried about that we're going to have a lot of manipulation by, for example, big companies or government, or I just don't know how people will be able to handle that an algorithm will know more about yourself and will be able to manipulate you. So I don't know, what do you think about how this could be exploited against people?
That's a very good question. And that is one of the scary things about AI, because, you know, even today, using early stage AI, that's a scary thought, because the websites we go to do learn information and they track us. This will add a whole new thing. When I say they know more about you than you, that's really true, because a lot of times we go through life without really noticing about ourselves. We don't think sometimes, where these machines are taking notes. And we have to, as a society and population, I think we have to develop an understanding and somehow rise above that. You know, it's very much like, to use a non-technical advantage, you could be with somebody and they say something very bad about somebody else. That's what sticks in your mind. And you already have a bad feeling about that as a person. I've developed something where I try never to judge somebody by what somebody else told me. And I found that to be very true. And that's very much what you're saying. We have to get to a place where we know this is happening, because you're right, it's going to be very scary. They're going to know more about you, and they're going to suggest things that just, I want to buy that, I want to do that, I have to have that. I can't answer that question, but I tell you, being an early pioneer in the internet, and I got in the internet industry in 1992, and I used to hear similar things. It's going to be scary. There'll be no more retail stores. Now, it did change retail stores, and there are less of them, but the fact is that they have to get better. They have to be innovative. and they have to think of things new. Now, as a society, we have to watch out for that. And I think it's already started. We've seen it in politics, we've seen it in media, and especially we've seen it in Facebook. Facebook influences from outside forces. We're pioneers in a new decade. And these are things to really think about. I said think about wars, think about this. Think about exactly what you said. But on the other hand, think about solving the cure for cancer, for epilepsy, for diseases that we can't cure today. We are going to be able to solve these. I know the internet has taught me things that I had never learned before in textbooks. Where I used to have to spend all day in the library doing research, I can now go on Google and in 60 seconds become somewhat of an expert in a subject. This has been very powerful for me. It's been great for me, and it's great for you. So though AI is great, there are some real concerns, and we need to think about them as a society. Anything else? Thank you. Yes. Whoever can get to someone with a microphone. We got some more over here.
Hi, Nathan.
Hi.
You mentioned in the conference that Amazon, for instance, has thousands of robots working for them and not human employees.
40, they have humans too.
Oh, yeah, of course, humans. I'm sorry. I'm sure that in the future, small companies are going to be able to employ robots and software, right?
Right.
Now, I have two questions about this. Will this be beneficial? I have some idea that it will, but will this be beneficial? And should small companies have a minimum amount of human employees or just pure software and robot as long as it concerns them?
I think that's the number one question. Are they going to take our jobs? You know, are we going to be replaced? Yeah, you're going to be replaced. But it opens up a whole potential of new jobs. People need to repair these robots. People need to program these robots. People need to design these robots. And at Amazon, there are still a lot of jobs that robots can't do. They are still hiring people. Yeah, it will replace jobs, as the computer did. And today, in one GM plant, I forgot the number of robots, but the robots produce 2,000 cars a day. And all the people do is quality control. This is something that will happen, but it will also open up new opportunities. You know, there's a lot of developers that come to TalentLand to look at what do I develop next. Well, AI is just a tool. It's an instrument that we can use as we use the internet to guide our life, to make our life better. So we're going to need people to say, well, what's next? And come up with what's next. My whole life, my whole career has been not being afraid to go out and not worry about money or how I'm going to have my next meal, but go make my dream come true. Now, a lot of pain comes with that, and a lot of dinner times where maybe you don't have a meal, but the rewards are fantastic. To go and change someone your life. One of the biggest highlights of my life, and I'm fortunate enough to say I have had many, including being in a coma, but was the MP3 player, because it allowed me to express myself. It had people come to me and ask me for my opinion, and it gave me the confidence to go out to do the next. What's next? I've always been an entrepreneur. To me, the definition of an entrepreneur is somebody that jumps off a cliff and builds an airplane on the way down. And that's the story of my life. I'm still building that airplane. Anything else? Yes? I'm sorry.
In your opinion, at what point of intelligence we need to get worried about artificial intelligence?
Today. Today. In the U.S., which I'm still a U.S. citizen, although I do live in Mexico and rarely travel to the U.S. anymore. Today, the U.S. election, which some people say changed by Facebook and technology. The fact that Amazon today puts products in front of you that they want you to buy, we have to have the understanding and the awareness that, do I really want this? What do I really think? Or is this a machine telling me this? But today, because if you wait too long, it'll be too late. You will already be programmed, and AI will be too powerful. But start thinking about the things you do. When you use technology, start thinking about it. Am I using this technology to better me, to do what I want to do? Is this technology making a better world? Sometimes it can do both, like the internet. Great things come from the internet, but also a lot of bad things come from the internet. Another question. Yes. Microphone person? I can't hear you without a mic, or I would call them. Here's one up here. How about this gentleman up here?
Yeah, hello. Some weeks ago, in Twitter, happened a problem between two persons. Those persons are Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, and they had two different thinkings. Mark said that the AI is a very good benefit for the world, and in the opposite, Elon said that it's a very, very dangerous thing. So I would like to know, what is your opinion about that?
Well, nobody really knows till it happens. And quite frankly, I respect and think a lot of Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, especially since his sister's speaking here at the show. But I know Elon Musk, who I think the world of, and I agree with much of what he says, and I also disagree with much of what he does. I think there's more good than bad that's going to come out of AI. We're not going to stop it because it's technology and society moving ahead with knowledge. To say, I don't want that knowledge, I'm afraid of the knowledge, takes me back to many centuries before I lived. We have to accept the knowledge and understand the knowledge and control the knowledge. I feel more toward Mark Zuckerberg on his thoughts on artificial intelligence. Elon Musk, as I have heard him speak on the subject, as you apparently, is very, very much afraid of it. Thinks it's going to be one of the destructions of the world. It will give a lot of bad people more power, but it will also give a lot of good people more power. And I believe there's more good people in our world than there are bad people. With that, I want to thank you all for coming. I really, really appreciate it. I love doing these events. Many times when I do them and I speak with people afterwards and before, I learn as much from them as hopefully you maybe learned from me. Please take a photo, stop by, say hello. I'm more free to talk over there. And if we've got the time, I could do another question. If not, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, I'll be over there.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias. por acompañarnos, talentos. Los invitamos a que se queden en la siguiente ponencia aquí en el escenario Jalisco. Muchísimas gracias.